Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. This is actually like my husband's mug, technically. We're married though, so whatever. And it's our Black Spire Outpost mug from Batu from Galaxy's Edge, and it's a great mug. I apologize for the lighting. I came home and it was sunny and beautiful. I went to the gym, cleaned myself up a little bit, and now there's a thunderstorm warning until like 8 p.m. So the lighting's not great right now. So I'm sorry, but just bear with me a little bit with that. Today's video is going to be my reading wrap up for July. July was a pretty good reading month. I had a good time with a lot of the books that I read, and there were some surprises for me. And while I did not actually finish Outlaw Mage, I'm pretty far into it. I would say I'm like halfway through. And I'm trying to finish it very quickly because this did come out on August 1st, and I do think you should read it. But I'm about halfway through at the moment, so I'm trying to get that read fast, but I will keep you updated on this. I'll probably just post a separate review video of this so I don't have to tangle it up in all of this nonsense, but I am reading it. I do like it. I read 6 other books, which is great. Ooh, the air conditioning's on. Let me unplug that. The first book that I was able to read was Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. And while I did enjoy this, it wasn't necessarily what I expected it to be. It was a little bit different, but I liked it because there are dragons involved, right? Sorry, the Goldsboro edition is very shiny. So I liked this. There were parts that did seem kind of slow. Can I help you? So as I was saying, there are parts of this that are kind of slow, but overall the magic system was pretty interesting. And the dragon was obviously really cool. I love the dragon. And I'm looking forward to see how the story continues. But essentially you're following like a thief and this dragon shifter who comes down from this other like dragon world. There's like a portal that's been opened, and you don't really know a lot about that, but he like falls through the portal. He can shift into a human form, which he does, and he feels like he accidentally bonded or tied himself to this human that he saw, and he can kind of like sense where she is, so he like goes to find her, like runs into her accidentally, and they kind of become comrades. I wouldn't say they become like friends right away, but they become like comrades, and she kind of figures out what he is, and it's a whole thing. So she's a thief. She's kind of trying to build another life for herself, but she has like one job that if she pulls it off will kind of set her up for life, and then she doesn't have to worry and she can leave and start a new life. So she starts working with him and makes like another uneasy alliance with another kind of criminal syndicate type of a situation. And they're trying to do these heists while he's trying to conspire to get her to fall for him so that he can kill her, and then the portal will be open and they can come through and retake the world because they like stole the magic from dragons, and the dragons are pissed. So that's kind of like what you're looking at. The magic system is interesting because it's kind of, so you can use magic, but you have to make sure you have like enough energy to burn almost. So if I'm gonna use a simple form of magic, that's fine, but I have to then refill that. So if I use a lot of magic, I could die or pass out, whatever. But if I'm using some magic and then I go and eat, I think they call them like sweet or savory discs or something like that. If I go and eat those things, then they can like recharge me, and those things won't happen to me. And there's this situation where if you use too much magic and you don't have like the stock for it, like you don't have it built up in your system, you don't have the reservoir for it, you will turn into kind of like a zombie almost, and you'll turn and you'll just like start eating people. It's crazy. So the magic system was interesting in that way. It was kind of like a very, not even like slow burn type of a situation, but a very like hesitant friendship, also a high story, also magic, also dragons are trying to take back the world. So it's kind of like an interesting and odd mixture of things going on, but I did like it. This is going to be a series. I thought it was a standalone at first, but it's not. So I'm interested, like I said, I'm interested to see where she takes this story, but I think if it interests you, you should give it a shot. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, so not the worst, not the best. But yeah, overall, enjoyable, pretty easy read. And then I read God Killer by Hannah Kaner. This is the Illumicrate edition. It's stunning. And I loved this book. The book was very good. The pacing was great. It was enough to keep the story moving. The world building was really interesting and good. The magic, or rather the gods in this world, were really well done and like fleshed out in a lot of different ways. And they're dangerous, but they can also be useful. And it was just so good and so well done. I loved the cast of characters, even though it did give off kind of Witcher vibes, like the orphaned girl and the warrior type situation, but it was more of like a female Geralt and a knight instead of a mage. So it was like the trio, but a little bit different. So it did kind of give you those Witcher vibes, which is fun. This is a little bit of a, well, there's a purpose. They have a purpose for their journey, but it is a little bit of a quest kind of a thing where they're, you know, encountering things as they go. But I would say there's more of an overarching plot and reason that is driving them forward. But I thought that was really good. Only thing I did not like about this was the romance. And again, I think it's because when I go into a romance book, I'm expecting romance. If I'm going into a YA book even, sometimes I'll expect romance. But certain books, I am not expecting romance. And so if it happens, I'm like, I'm not ready for that. I don't want it. And it's a weird thing with me, I think, because I do enjoy romance books. I do enjoy fantasy romance. I do enjoy, you know, those types of things. But if I'm not ready for it, or I feel like I don't like it, or I don't want it in the story, I'm just like, stop it. I'm like that. If you've seen Elemental, I'm like the mom spraying you with a water bottle. Hilarious. So again, like, I'm not opposed to romance. We all know this. But this isn't, I don't go into these books looking for romance. These types of books, these like high fantasy books, right? So I didn't like it in this case because it's not like it was unnatural necessarily or forced. I just didn't want it in the story. And so when it came about, I was just like, oh, I could have done without that. Had that been removed, I would have been fine. I would have liked it even more, even though I gave it 5 stars. So it's not like it can go higher from there. But I just wish that hadn't been a part of it, but it didn't ruin anything. It's not bad. And it's not a main focus of the book or story at all. So it didn't take away from my enjoyment or anything. But I also thought this was a standalone and didn't realize it's a part of a series. So it is. And I'm very much looking forward to picking up book 2 whenever it comes out, because like I said, I loved it and I gave it 5 stars. Very good. The characters are really interesting. The situations that happen with the different characters and like the different gods, really cool. My husband read this also. He also loved it. It's just really good. And if I'm not mistaken, this is her debut novel, which is insane. Can't wait to see where she goes from here. The next book that I read was Wicked King by Holly Black, which if you've been around here a long time, you know that I am not a huge fan of The Cruel Prince, and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this. And lo and behold, I liked this one way more than The Cruel Prince. I'm not saying I'm like in love with the series and it was like amazing, but I liked it way more. So I will say this with a grain of salt because I don't think this is for everybody. Maybe this just hit me in the right moment, you know, and I just really, it was just good timing. But I think if you did not like Cruel Prince, you might like this because there is way more political intrigue and scheming and backstabbing, games, ruthless fairies. Like that's the kind of thing I wanted from The Cruel Prince when it just felt like a weird bully, not even romance. It was like a weird vibe. That one felt like bullying, kiddish, unrealistic kind of stuff. This is like they're in the court and they're doing schemes. They're trying to stay alive. They have like these political alliances. They're trying to navigate if they're going to go to war or not. Everybody's ruthless and poor Jude, this human, is just like trying to stay alive because she's, you know, smart. She has some like military strategery. She has some military strategy training because of her dad, who was horrible. But she's also not perfect. And I like that they pull that out. Like, she's not invincible. She's not perfect. She's not going to make all of the right calls or decisions, and she'll pay for them. I did like that aspect. There was a lot of, like, interesting, not war criminal aspects, but, like, prisoner of war almost aspects, or, like, hostage aspects. Yeah, this one was just way more enjoyable for me, but I've also heard people hate the 3rd book, so we'll see how that goes, because I will read it. I might as well at this point. But yeah, so the ending was kind of surprising to me. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. Don't know how to feel. I can't tell if it's bad intentions or good intentions, but I guess I'll find out someday. I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read is Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. This is kind of an OG series that's been on my TBR for quite a while now, and I finally read the first book. Can't remember now how many perspectives. I think you're following 5 perspectives, but it's mostly 4 of them. And people compare this to like Game of Thrones, which I do understand. This book is very dramatic. So if you like drama and you like that type of a thing, you might like this. But it was very dramatic. So yeah, if you like drama, buckle in. So much betrayal, death, war, scheming, etc. So many things. I did not think it would have so much happening in only the first book, which is why I get why people compare it to Game of Thrones, at least the seasons that I've watched. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fine. It's really easy to get into, and there's a few different perspectives, but like I was saying, one of them you don't really get much in the book at all, and he was a very interesting perspective, but I'm sure he's going to come into play later. There was a trope that I really dislike in it, but we'll see how that turns out. Can I tell you the trope? I feel like sometimes when I say things about books, I'm like, that's pretty descriptive and helps you like get a sense of the book, but it could also be spoilery. I don't think it's that spoilery, but I never know where that line is sometimes because my husband was like, any information ever is a spoiler. And I'm like, no, if I tell you a specific plot point, that's a spoiler. There's a trope in here I don't like about kind of, I don't know if I should say it. I'm going to say it. There's a trope in here about a like brother-sister relationship. It's not a relationship, but it's like, brother loves sister and knows that he should not love sister. And I cannot stand that trope. Even Mortal Instruments, I was like, this is gross. This is gross. I don't like that. So do not like that trope. It's in here. We'll see how they resolve it. One of the deaths I really didn't expect and was so sad about it and was so unfortunate for me because he was my favorite character and he's dead. It was very unfortunate. I should have seen it coming because I dubbed him my favorite, so therefore kiss of death immediately. So that was sad. But if you like dramatic things and you like a lot of war and death and like a lot of things happening right off the bat in this book, in like a 6-book series, I think you would enjoy this. It's high fantasy. There's some magic, but it's like very few people have magic. It was pretty good. I gave it 3.5 stars. And then I read The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakravorty. And I loved this book. I'm so happy I did because I had such high hopes for it and it sounded so good. And I loved it. And this is my first book by her. And then I found out, like everything else I read this month, basically, that this is not a standalone. It is a part of a series. A series! When I was looking on it on Goodreads, it looks like it's going to be a trilogy because it says Untitled Book 2 and 3. So if you loved this one, there's more.
What do you mean by I love?
Oh, Siri, I wasn't talking to you. Go away.
Okay.
So I really, really liked this book. An older pirate woman comes out of retirement for one last job. Amazing. It was a journey adventure, so if you don't like, it's not meandering, but if you don't like her traveling, trying to find clues, trying to figure out where to go, if you don't like the journey aspect where they have to like go to this place and see what happens, and then go to this place and see what happens, and there's not like a direct plot, you know what I'm saying? It's like they have to unravel the plot as they go and they encounter things that maybe throws a wrench in it or maybe helps them and they have to assemble like a crew. If you don't like that, maybe you won't like this, but I think it's really well done. I think it's smooth and you're just like rolling with it. You're so excited to be on this adventure with her. So I liked it. It is a journey adventure. There is humor, danger, flashbacks, some mystery, and some creepy elements. So I just loved this good old adventure story. I thought it was so good. I love that you get to piece her past together because you're picking up where she's retired, right? She's retired, she's had her adventures, she's done with that life, and now she's coming back for one more. And you get to see more of her previous journeys, a little bit, not a whole lot, but like you get to see some of that pieced together and why the situation is what it is today. I loved that. I also loved Amina and Raksh. I think I'm saying that correctly. But those two characters together and separately, I loved them. I thought they were so great, so well done. Raksh was hilarious. Amina was amazing and hilarious and a BA. Like, I just loved her so much. And the characters were just so well done, and it was just so easy to get attached to all of them. Like, that kind of blew me away a little bit. So usually when I'm reading books, I'll get attached to one character, a couple characters. I may like some characters, but I'll have like one favorite, and then I'll have like a couple that I like, or a couple that I like tolerate. But it's rare when I have a book where every single character is kind of endeared to you, at least of like the main crew, right? Like, it happens, like Six of Crows, I liked most of them except for freaking what's his face, Jesper, drove me nuts. Like, there's always this one character, you know, but I felt like that wasn't really in this crew. Like, you loved the crew and you're rooting for them, even though they're pirates. Like, every single character you just like get attached to, you love how different each of them are and what they have to offer. It was just so fun to be on this journey with them. I also really appreciated all of the religious aspects of this book because they weren't the villain or the bad guy. Like, it wasn't bad. The religion wasn't bad. I know in a lot of fantasy books, especially ones that I've read, I guess, the like church or religious society or religious figures are like the villains and the bad guys and stuff like that. And I liked that the religion in this wasn't that. It was very important to her, and it's kind of what she tried to make a lot of decisions based off of. I liked that. I liked that it wasn't painted in a bad way. And I was a little shocked when I found out that it wasn't a standalone, so it kind of like threw me a little bit at the end. But I'm excited. I'm excited to keep going on this journey with these characters. I hope we see you-know-who again. I hope they come back. And we learn more about the heritage of one of the characters. I hope we learn more about that. But yeah, this was just such a fun adventure that my heart was just happy to be along the ride for. I loved it. Please go read it if you're interested in the story at all. And the last book that I read that's kind of like coming out of left field is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, which I just bought after I read it because I enjoyed it. I actually liked it a lot, so I went and got a copy of it. And because I enjoyed it and it was just kind of fun, I think it was really helping me get out of the slump that I had kind of almost been finding myself falling into. They had buy one get one for 50% off table at Barnes & Noble, and Love on the Brain was also on that table. And Love Theoretically was also on that table. So I got all of them! And I know what you're thinking, this is 3 books. I also got Bewitched by Laura Thalassa, but that's for another time. So I liked the first book. No, I thought it was cute and fun, and I thought they're all gonna be cute and fun, and I had the chance to buy this that I liked. And I've been trying to not buy as many books up front, but when I can listen to them for free, I listened to this with my library, but I really liked it and I wanted a copy of it. So I thought I'm gonna get a copy of it, and then it just, the stars aligned and fell into place and I got all of them. So, Love Hypothesis. My friend Christy is actually the one that recommended this to me. I had heard of it, of course, because who hasn't, my goodness. But she actually recommended it to me, and she was like, I want you to read this. I really loved it. I think you'll like it. She's like, it's a Raylo fan fiction. I'm not sure how you feel about that. I don't like that in general, like that as a thing. I'm not a big Raylo person. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I don't usually like contemporary romance. It's not really my thing. I like that it's STEM, so that's different. I'll try it. I put it on hold for my library. It came up. It was due in like 6 days, and I was like, it's a pretty short audiobook. I can probably do it. We'll just tack it on at the end of July and see how it goes. And I listened to it really quickly. It was really easy to listen to. It was really enjoyable. It was funny. Like I said, contemporary romance usually is not my thing, like at all. But this academic romance, STEM romance worked for me. I liked the fake dating, the humor, the existential dread of grad school. Like, I can't relate to it in a STEM way, but I can relate to it in a grad school, different type of a way. And I've even texted my friend, Katrin, and was like, look, this book, I know you had some like existential dread with some grad school stuff that was going on, and I think you should read this just to like know what she's going through. I think she'd think it's funny. And so like the grad school, existential dread, the other factors at play, just all of it worked for me. I just liked it. It was funny. I enjoyed it. A lot of people wanted me to read this, And I'm pleasantly surprised that I liked it and liked it enough to continue the series, even though they're all like standalones. But yeah, didn't hate it, which really surprised me. I liked a contemporary romance. Who am I? And I gave it 4 stars, which was a pretty good rating. Well, those are all of the books that I was able to read in July. Let me know your thoughts on these books if you're wanting to pick them up or if you already have and you love them already. And always give me more recommendations because I love recommendations. We know what this channel's about, so. Thank you guys so much for watching, but that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye!